Hi, good morning to all of you. Today we will be looking into the overall review of our heat and mass transfer subject. We have 5 units in the subject. The first unit is about conduction, the second unit is about convection, and the third unit is about the heat exchanges and also evaporation and condensation, and the fourth unit is about radiation, and the fifth unit is about mass transfer. In this video, we will be studying or we will be having an overall detailed review on first and second units. Unit 1, conduction. What is meant by conduction? It is a process of heat transfer between two objects that are in contact with each other. That is, for example, from a solid to a solid. Heat transfer from a solid to a solid. The best example is during cooking, when we have an iron rod immersed in fire, you will be feeling the heat in your hand, which you will be holding the another end. This is due to the conduction. In this unit, we will be studying about two types of conduction, that is steady state heat conduction, and another one is transient heat conduction, or in other names, unsteady state heat conduction. In steady state heat conduction, we will be studying about composite systems. The general formula for it is Q is equal to del T by R. This formula you can take it from your data book. This R is resistance and del T is the temperature difference between the two bodies. This R formula is L by Ka, whereas L is the length and K is the, what is K? K is heat thermal conductivity and A is the area, cross-sectional area. And now for a plane, for a composite wall or for a composite plane, it will be having three different materials compounded with each other. The three materials will be having different K values, that is thermal conductivity value will be different for the first material, second material and third material. So we have to find out the resistance in each of the section. In each section, that is from section 1, the resistance value will vary from section 2, and it will vary from section 3 also, because of the thermal conductivity of all the three materials. All the three materials will not be having the same thermal conductivity, and the length may also be different. So we have to find the resistance R value single-handedly for the first composite material, and then for the second composite material, and then for the third composite material, and then we have to add all the three composite materials. This is for a sphere. Sphere has so many layers, and so the general formula will not be changed, but the resistance formula will be changing. That is R2 minus R1. R2 is the radius of the first composite material, R1, and the second composite material radius will be R2, and the third composite material radius will be R3, and the fourth one will be R4. We have to find out the resistance value for each and every composite material separately, and these formulas are available in our HMT data book, which we have already discussed so many times in the class itself. This is for the cylinder. For the cylinder, here the formula is the change in formula which we are noticing is a value called H is inserted here, because H is the heat transfer coefficient, that is it will come into play when there is a convection is also added. In the previous formula we saw only about conduction. Here through cylinders or sphere or also in composite walls also, convection coefficient can also be added. If the convection coefficient is added, then we have to include the convective heat transfer coefficient formula also along with the conduction formulas. The first one, 1 by H R1, and the last one, 1 by H R4. These are the convective heat transfer coefficient formulas, which has to be added with the conduction formulas. These are the conduction formulas. Other important topics in unit 1 is internal heat generation. Internal heat generation example is in an electric wire. Electric wires will also be generating a heat internally, and in some thermal power plant boilers the heat will be generated internally, and the formulas are available in our HMT data book. And the next topic is critical radius of insulation. What is meant by critical radius of insulation? And critical radius of insulation is meant as the radius at which the heat transfer will be maximum. The radius or the point at which the heat transfer rate is maximum is known as critical radius of insulation. If the radius of insulation, what is insulation? Insulation is something that never allows the heat to transfer through it. And so the critical radius of insulation is meant as at that particular point the heat transfer rate will be maximum, so that the electrical wires won't be catching fire. If the electrical wires are insulated and if it gets heated daily and it expands, then it might get fire. It might get exhausted or blasted. So to minimize that effect, we have to insulate the material with a critical radius of insulation. Okay, if it is insulated to the critical radius of insulation, the heat which is generated in the internal wire will be transferred through the insulating material to the outside world. So there won't be any heat accumulation in the wire. And the next topic is external surfaces or fins. We have studied about 3 types of fins, that is short fin, long fin and indefinitely long fins. We have to find out the L by D ratio, and if the L by D ratio is minimum, it is known as short fin, and if it is getting maximum, then it is an infinitely long fin. And if there is no L by D ratio is given, L by D ratio means length to diameter ratio. If there is no L by D ratio is given, then we have to take it as short fin, then we have to assume it as short fin with end insulator. In the fins, we will be finding out fin efficiency, fin effectiveness and also the heat transfer rate of the fin. The important point which we have to take note is area. During the calculation for fins, the area which we have to take is the cross-sectional area of the fins, not the overall area of the fins. For example, if the fin area is in a cylindrical cross-section, cylindrical shape, then the cross-section will be a circle. So the area we should take is pi by 4 d square, not pi dl. This is the important point which we have to notice it. And now this is the last topic of the first unit, is unsteady state heat conduction. What is the main difference between a steady state heat conduction and an unsteady state heat conduction? In steady state heat conduction, there won't be any change in heat transfer rate according to the time. But in unsteady state heat conduction, there will be heat transfer rate changing according to the time. For example, when we start the heat transfer, from the first point, if there is a 100 kilowatt of heat transfer, after 10 seconds or after 30 seconds, the heat transfer rate might come down to 50 kilowatt or might get up to 150 kilowatt. That is, the heat transfer rate changes with the time. That is known as unsteady state heat conduction. We can differentiate the steady state and unsteady state heat conduction problems by the following terminologies. If time is given, that is unsteady state heat conduction. If there is no mentioning of about time, then it is steady state heat conduction. In lumped heat, in the unsteady state heat conduction, there are 3 types: lumped heat analysis, semi-infinite solids, and infinite solids. We already discussed what is lumped heat analysis, semi-infinite, and infinite solids. In the how to find out the lumped heat analysis problems? The procedure is, first we have to find out the Biot number. What is the formula for Biot number? Biot number is equal to HLC by K. H is convective heat transfer coefficient, LC is characteristic length, and K is thermal conductivity. So Biot number, if the Biot number value is less than or equal to 0.1, then we have to use a formulas of Lambda analysis. And all the formulas for these three types are in our HMD data. And what is meant by semi-infinite solids? In semi-infinite solids, the H value will not be given. So therefore, the Biot number value will be tending to infinity. If the Biot number value is infinity, then it is semi-infinite solids. And for the infinite solids, if the Biot number is greater than 0.1 and less than 100, then it is infinite solids. Now we will be looking into unit 2. What is our unit 2? Our unit 2 is convection. Convection is the heat transfer between two different mediums, that is from a solid to a liquid or from a solid to a gas. Okay, that is known as convection. Convection topic is broadly divided into two types, that is forced convection and free convection. Inside the forced convection, there are two types, that is flow over plates, cylinders, spheres, or flow inside the tube, cylinders or spheres. And same principle applies to the free convection also. Now we will be looking into how to solve the forced convection problems. First, how can we find out that the given problem is of forced convection? The first point is the velocity will be given. Forced convection has velocity or the mass flow rate. If the mass flow rate is given, we can find out the velocity. What is the formula to find the velocity if the mass flow rate is given? That is m is equal to rho a v. Rho is the density of the fluid, a is the area of cross section, and v is the velocity. If mass flow rate is given, we can find out the velocity, and if velocity is given, we can find out the mass flow rate, vice versa. But here the important point which we have to take care of is, in this formula m is equal to rho a v, the area given is a cross sectional area. That is, for cylindrical section, we have to take it as pi v for d square and not pi dl, where in the m formula, in the mass flow rate formula. Now we will be looking into the procedures. First we have to find out the Reynolds number and determine whether it is turbulent or laminar flow. The criteria varies with different cross sections. Generally, if the Reynolds number value is greater than 5 into 10 to the power 5, then it is turbulent flow, and if it is less than 5 into 10 to the power 5, then it is laminar flow. Then we have to find out the properties, note the properties of the fluid from the data book for the given fluid temperature. Then, according to the value of Reynolds number, we have to take down the appropriate formula for Nusselt number that will be given in the HMD data book. Now we have to find out the Nusselt number. Then once a Nusselt number is found out, there is one another formula for Nusselt number, that is HL by K or HD by K, where H is the heat transfer coefficient, L is the length, and K is the thermal conductivity, HL by K or HD by K. If it is a cylinder or sphere, we have to use the diameter, not the length. So once a Nusselt number is found out, we have to find out we have to solve the H value. That is Hn is equal to Nu is equal to Nusselt number is equal to HL by K. We have to find out H value. Once H value is solved, we can find out the heat transfer data. That is Q is equal to HA del T. H is the heat transfer coefficient, A is the area. Here the area is the total area. That is, area will be equal to pi dl for an cylinder. For an plate, that will be equal to L into B, length into breadth. Okay. Next one is free convection. In the free convection, instead of Reynolds number, we have to find out the Grashoff's number. Once a Grashoff's number is found out, we have to find out, multiply that Grashoff's number with the Prandtl number. The Prandtl number can be taken from the data book, and the formula for Grashoff's number is also available in our data book. According to the value of GRPR, we have to take the formula of Nusselt number. Once a Nusselt number is found out, as in the case of forced convection, we have to find out the H value. Once the H values we have solved out the H value, then we can find out the Q value. That is, Q is equal to HA del T. Thank you guys. And in our next video, we will be having the overall review of 3rd unit, 4th unit and our 5th unit. Thank you all. Stay in home and be safe. Thanks guys.